Coming up soon, my goodness, what an extraordinary individual. My goodness, what an extraordinary individual. Sure, I can handle it. Deciphering everything is incredibly challenging. This is a tragic Hollywood production. He is keeping an eye on her. Animal. Yes, Gene Hackman was alone in his final days. Maintain a straight back. What actually transpired at his residence? Being completely unable to seek assistance. It breaks my heart. In Hollywood, it will be the next big thing. General Hackman was an enormous and fascinating figure. His 80 film appearances left audiences in awe. But Gene was also good at knowing when to quit. 20 years ago, he and his wife Betsy sought refuge in New Mexico due to his illness. As is typical of Hackman, he vanished without a trace. Everything changed 2 months ago when his wife Betsy's bodies were discovered in an unexplained manner at their home. It is tragic that Gene's last weeks were marked by such horrific events. He will never know that his story is among the most significant ones that this hero has ever recounted. Already he's the alpha male here. Yes, sadness and intrigue were present in the scene. Law enforcement officials were initially perplexed by what they observed upon visiting the Santa Fe, New Mexico residence of actor Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy. According to this latest video from the sheriff's office, when was the last time they received any communication from her? A 65-year-old woman named Betsy was discovered lifeless on the bathroom floor as the first body to be discovered. No sign of her 95-year-old husband. Is he somewhere? He goes by the name of, I can't quite put my finger on it. Everything appeared to be in its proper place when the police entered the main portion of the house. It was clean and largely undamaged. From the time Gene's corpse was discovered close to the front door, every one of these doors remained ajar. 2 will put you to sleep. Very well. A canine has perished. Sure, I can handle it. My God, it's terrible. The bond between two individuals who are so courteous, considerate, and generous is difficult to discern. Currently, I am unable to make it function. Gene and Betsy's close friends, Doug Lamb and Tom Allen, were shocked to hear the tragic news. What brought this horrific event to your attention? Articles from the news. As expected, given his advanced age, he was 95 years old. I woke up to the news that Gene Hackman had passed away. Hearing of her passing was a tragedy. It had actually occurred, and I couldn't believe it. Not only have the Hackman family and friends been deeply saddened by the discovery of their bodies on February 26, but so have many others. The world was taken aback by the tragic loss of this renowned actor and his stunning, accomplished wife, Betsy. Like any of Hackman's previous film roles, this one ends on an exciting and mysterious note. A member of the sheriff's squad commented on how strange it was that Gene and Betsy Arakawa Hackman appeared to have fallen. It's conceivable that no one at Hollywood would have written or even planned this pair's ending. It was not anyone's expectation that Gene Hackman's life would end this way. One of Peter DeBruge's favorite actors was Gene Hackman, says Variety film writer. He wishes that his life, rather than his death, would be remembered by those who knew him. Please, you have already lost this case if you believe that evidence will assist you in winning it. There are moments in his life that seem like they could be perfect for a Hollywood film. Who do you envision playing the role of Gene Hackman? Nobody could. For his performance in Unforgiven, Gene Hackman wins the award. Over the course of 4 decades, Hackman appeared in 80 films, earning him 2 Academy Awards. In his performances, he conveyed a fiery intensity. My needs are modest. Every single one, even the humorous ones. Beachfront properties are my favorite. Hello, Ozzy. What's your desire? Are you aware of this? What a tragic setback. For 4 decades, Gene Hackman was the face of American cinema in iconic roles. At the height of American cinema's modernization, this was especially the case. His untimely demise is still difficult to fathom. Is something really pressing? Inside the house, we discovered what seemed like 2 or 3 corpses. Are any movements detected? No way, you idiot. Nothing is happening. Urgently dispatch an individual to this location. The shocking discovery was made by the Hackmans' distraught helper since they had not been heard from in more than 2 weeks. Yeah, everyone is just like him. They came to me out of nowhere, that they were both dead. My apologies. Betsy, who lay partially frozen on the bathroom floor, had medicine all over her. Near the front door with his cane and sunglasses by his side, Gene had passed out. Upon arriving at the scene, investigators immediately developed suspicions. Finding two corpses in the house is quite unusual. That makes me nervous. Additionally, the body of a kennel-bound dog was discovered. Xena, an Austrian Kelpie mix, was discovered lifeless in her container. She actually died of thirst and hunger, but the rumors about her disappearance spread like wildfire. In the days following the initial reports, what were some of the thoughts that individuals had regarding their experiences? We were all waiting for the police and other specialists to provide an explanation because we were concerned that this might have been a murder-suicide case. There is a gas odor to it. Is there a gas odor? It has a gassy aroma. Because of their simultaneous descent, a gas leak occurred. Even when turned off, its aroma lingers. Someone may have poisoned them since multiple bodies were found in the same house. Yes, the fact that his death was shrouded in mystery saddened me the most. Also, you probably didn't want your thoughts to wander too freely. We hoped it was the most compassionate aspect of what we were listening to. The couple's close friend, Doug Lamb, just couldn't take it any longer. I struggle when I try to discuss it. Naturally, everyone is taking a wild guess. This is something that could have transpired. Just keep them in mind for what they are, people. Nobody knew that Betsy had been Gene's sole caregiver since he had advanced Alzheimer's. Of all the terrible and terrible news, the one that Betsy had died a week prior to Gene most likely was the worst. When was the last time you two spoke? How many days ago was that? Almost 3 weeks. Almost 3 weeks. Also, do they not perceive them? Is that so? No one really pays attention to them unless you count phone texts. They are quite reclusive. The unfathomable tragedy that befell Tom Allen, Gene's friend and guardian, was the demise of Betsy. I simply do not believe it is feasible. What on earth occurred at that location last week? The 65-year-old Miss Betsy Hackman was killed by a hantavirus. Their deaths were already strange, but Betsy's unanticipated cause of death only added to the mystery. The rat poop, urine, and saliva infected her with the hantavirus. This illness is extremely rare, yet it frequently claims the lives of those who contract it. It can cause unexpected heart failure in its most severe forms, which appear similar to the flu. There is death involved, so reading about it was difficult. She was in dire need of medical attention 4 or 5 days ago, but she had no idea what was happening. Mr. Gene Hackman, who was 95 years old, passed away due to fatty heart disease and high blood pressure. Additionally, Alzheimer's disease was a major factor in the demise. A week subsequent to Betsy's passing, Gene succumbed to his ill heart and Alzheimer's disease. In his state, he could not care for himself. Betsy did in fact shoulder a great deal of responsibility by seeing to everyone's needs. Additionally, she was uncared for and never once sought assistance. There was never a time when she said, "I need help." Oh, how I wish I could have rushed over to help her out. We should have lent them a hand if we could have. I felt terrible about it. Where did Gene Hackman's last week go? As you will soon see, he had never been more alone than he was after Betsy departed. Down on your knees it brings you. Away from the limelight of Hollywood, Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy resided in Santa Fe, New Mexico for the final 2 decades of his life. Art, music, dogs, and friends like Doug Lamb and Tom Allen were important to them. What was Gene like? I found him to be quite comical. A lofty objective was spelled out for me. I was also the target of his ridicule. He betrays his ignorance. He appears to be quite young. What a caring couple should be, they demonstrated. I think they learned a lot from life as well. You clearly derive great joy and happiness from those memories. Yes, it is true. I still pinch myself occasionally to remind myself that we could have had that type of friendship. I feel incredibly fortunate to have had that opportunity. On the other hand, we shared it with Gene and Betsy. No, not a Hollywood star. The couple didn't travel far from home, but they did stay in touch with loved ones. Their struggles went unnoticed because Gene's memory and freedom were both robbed by Alzheimer's disease. Betsy was Gene's primary caregiver during their marriage. She protected him, and I know it. In her pursuit of his well-being, she spared no effort. She most likely would have preferred solitude at home. She should not have sent him to a hospice. He would have been devastated. That is why she took care of everything on her own. It's difficult to fathom what transpired. It was unexpected that 65-year-old Betsy would pass away first, leaving 95-year-old Gene to fend for himself. However, she succeeded. Was it certain that Betsy's sudden and unexpected death had ended Gene Hackman's life? It appears that Betsy was the one who kept him housebound, dictated to him what to do each day, and did all of his thinking. Without her, he could not have survived. I think not at all. According to Professor Susan Curl, a leading authority on memory care and Alzheimer's disease in Australia, the ineffectiveness of the disease is one of the most tragic aspects of Gene Hackman's passing. Some things, at least, he could handle on his own. Still, he obviously couldn't feed himself, tend to Betsy or the dog, or even care for himself. Basically, they were unable to do anything, including leaving the house, contacting neighbors, or even calling for help. Gene Hackman was likely around 12 months old, if you consider dementia as regressing into childhood with everything. He needed assistance. Betsy did the same thing. For many, the most terrifying part of the week following Betsy's death was what transpired in that house. Would you have wanted Gene to do this or that? It is widely believed that Gene would not have been aware of her death. Leaving, going somewhere else, and then returning is probably what he did because he assumed she was asleep. He returns to her. Even though he sees her again, he can't place her. We can only speculate as to the depth of Gene's grief at Betsy's passing. Perhaps his illness spared him the worst of his emotions. Does the idea that he may not have been able to feel pain or sadness due to his memory loss provide any solace? That is one of the few positive aspects of dementia, but given his terrible memory, he probably just wandered aimlessly. Betsy had to be aware of the dangers because she was caring for him alone. She had great power over his fate. She obviously hadn't thought that far ahead. Her age appears to have been significantly lower than his. Prior to her cancer diagnosis, she was in excellent health. She probably wasn't thinking that. Beyond that, I think she was trying to hide the fact that Gene had become a man and lost his role from others. She was protecting him from that, in my opinion. Being there for Gene all the way to the end must have been incredibly difficult for her. You simply cannot fathom. Your anger is understandable. Your pal Gene Hackman sprinted after life and snatched it both digits. Considering him must be a struggle for you. His final days were marked by extreme weakness. He was unable to leave the house or seek assistance. Down on your knees it brings you. Tragically, our town's giant Gene Hackman passed away. A common phrase that Gene would say was, "I don't think about it. To the best of my ability, all I want is for people to remember me for that." That and much more about you will stick in people's minds. It's extremely difficult. In any case, I can't help but reflect on the wonderful life he led for 95 years and the joy he shared with Betsy, particularly over the past quarter of a century. In a word, his life was perfect. The big screen allowed us to witness that exquisite existence. To Gene Hackman's Santa Fe friends, though, he was more than simply an excellent actor. Both he and his wife Betsy will be deeply missed because he was also their best friend. They would rather remember that than the manner of their death. Your sorrow reveals the depth of your concern for these individuals. We appreciate you informing us about it. I am grateful. We were fortunate. You are very fortunate. On top of that, I had a blast relaxing and enjoying themselves. A plethora of tales. After reading it, all you can think is, what a character. My goodness, what an extraordinary individual. His character is truly admirable. Get extra minutes on your radio. There have been countless deaths similar to Gene Hackman's around the globe. After his passing, what lessons can we draw? Among those 85 and up, 1/3 will be found to have dementia or Alzheimer's. The odds increase to 50% by the time you reach the age of 90. I am astounded. Extra Minutes is now available on every major radio app.